Well, folks, welcome back to Boss Economics World, where we take the dismal science of economics and turn it into a full-blown circus of absurdity. Today, we're diving headfirst into the avalanche, nay, the tsunami, of cheap Chinese stuff flooding Latin America. That's right, your doorstep is now ground zero for a global trade war, and your local retailer? Oh, they're basically roadkill on the e-commerce superhighway. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride through tariffs, taxes, and Temu's terrifying takeover. Let's break it down, Boss Economics style. Picture this, folks, you're in Montevideo, staring at a Gillette razor blade in the supermarket, and it's costing you $6.50. $6.50. That's basically a down payment on a yacht in razor blade terms. But wait, here comes Temu, the knight in shining knockoff armor, offering you a no-name version for a quarter. A quarter. Who cares if it might fall apart after one shave? It's cheap, it's fast, and it's delivered faster than your local clothing supplier can say, "Help, I'm bankrupt." Now, Latin America is hooked. In the first half of 2025, Temu's monthly active users in the region skyrocketed by 143% year-on-year to a jaw-dropping 105 million, according to Sensor Tower. That's more people than the entire population of Mexico. Meanwhile, SheIn and AliExpress are piling on, turning your abuela's doorstep into a warehouse for glittery phone cases and suspiciously cheap blenders. Consumers are giddy, but local retailers? Oh, they're crying into their empty cash registers. Sales at small stores like Andrea Tejera's in Uruguay are down 10%, and that's just the beginning. Welcome to the retail apocalypse, brought to you by Beijing's bloated factories. But wait, folks, here comes the cavalry, or should I say, the taxman. Governments from Mexico to Chile are waking up to the fact that their economies are being steamrolled by this Chinese e-commerce invasion. Mexico's slapping a 33.5% import duty on small parcels from countries it doesn't have trade agreements with, up from 19%. Chile, the poster child of free trade, is now taxing imports under $41 with a 19% VAT starting October 2025. Even Ecuador's getting in on the action, charging a $20 fee per package under its $1,600 duty-free courier regime. And Uruguay? Oh, they're cooking up a VAT plan for their 5-year budget bill faster than you can say, "Temu ate my economy." Now, why the sudden tax frenzy? Simple, local businesses are getting pummeled, and governments are desperate to protect them. Mexico's deputy economy minister, Vidal Larenas, even said they might slap more duties on goods that could be produced locally. Translation: sorry, consumers, but your $13 blender is now a national security issue. Meanwhile, customs agencies are drowning in parcels. Uruguay's got 5 people checking Temu packages at the airport when they need 20, and Chile's customs authority had to double its staff just to keep up. Spoiler alert, it's not working. Chile's Alejandra Arriaza says taxing parcels won't even dent the volume. Why? Because even with a 19% VAT, a $13 blender is still a steal compared to the $180 local version. Now, let's get to the juicy stuff, the real economic meat of this story. Why is Latin America so hesitant to go full-on trade war with China, unlike the US, which is taxing low-value packages starting August 29, 2025, or the EU, which is investigating Temu for selling illegal goods? Here's the dirty little secret, folks: Latin America's economies are handcuffed to China's commodity-hungry machine. Take Chile, for example. It's the world's top copper exporter, and guess who buys most of that shiny red metal? That's right, China. In 2024, China accounted for 38% of Chile's total exports, according to the Observatory of Economic Complexity, OEC. Or look at Brazil, the soybean king of the world. China gobbled up 73% of its soybean exports last year, worth $38 billion, per UN Comtrade data. And don't forget Peru, where copper and iron ore exports to China made up 34% of its total export revenue in 2023. What does this mean? It means China has Latin America by the economic cojones. As Evan Ellis from the U.S. Army War College put it, China's leverage comes from implicit threats like, "Oh, you want to tax our cheap blenders? Cool, maybe we'll just stop buying your copper, soybeans, and oil." And let's not forget the loans. China's Belt and Road Initiative has poured over $140 billion into Latin America since 2005, according to the Inter-American Dialogue. So, while the US and EU can afford to play hardball, Latin America's stuck in a geopolitical chokehold, trying to balance consumer happiness, local business survival, and not pissing off Beijing. Good luck with that. But wait, folks, this isn't just a Latin American problem, it's a global economic cage match. The rise of Chinese e-commerce giants like Temu, SheIn, and AliExpress is part of a bigger story: China's desperate need to offload its excess industrial capacity. See, China's economy is slowing down. Its GDP growth dropped to 4.7% in Q2 2024, the weakest since Q1 2023, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Meanwhile, its factories are churning out more stuff than its domestic market can absorb. Solution? Flood the global south with cheap goods and let Temu's aggressive marketing do the rest. But here's the kicker: this isn't just about economics, it's about geopolitics. As Margaret Myers from the Inter-American Dialogue pointed out, China has to walk a fine line. Sure, it wants to dominate markets, but it also wants to be seen as a benevolent partner to the global south, not a predatory trade monster. Too bad Latin America's starting to see through the charade. In Mexico, recent raids uncovered warehouses full of Chinese knockoffs dodging import taxes, think toys and clothes ripped off from big brands. In Chile, the National Chamber of Commerce is raising eyebrows at Temu's suspiciously low prices, hinting at possible dumping or subsidies. And in Colombia, companies are routing parcels through the US to exploit free trade agreements, making a mockery of customs controls. Meanwhile, the incumbents, Mercado Libre and Amazon, are fighting back, but it's an uphill battle. Mercado Libre, Latin America's e-commerce darling with a $118 billion market cap, is getting fined left and right for selling uncertified products, like water heaters in Chile. And Amazon? Well, it's still king of convenience, but it can't compete with Temu's rock-bottom prices. The result? A full-blown e-commerce arms race, with consumers as the winners and local economies as the collateral damage. So, what's the endgame here, folks? Let's break it down, boss economics style. First, expect more taxes, tariffs, and trade barriers as Latin American governments scramble to protect their economies. But don't hold your breath for a miracle. Customs agencies are already overwhelmed, and China's trade leverage means any serious crackdown could backfire. Second, local businesses are toast unless they adapt. Brick-and-mortar stores need to go digital, cut costs, and maybe even join forces with platforms like Mercado Libre to survive. Third, consumers? Oh, you're gonna keep buying that $13 blender, taxes or not, because let's face it, your wallet's not getting any fatter. But here's the real question, is this a win for the little guy, or a slow-motion economic disaster? On one hand, cheap goods are a godsend for cash-strapped families, especially in a region where inflation hit 7.8% in 2024, according to the IMF. On the other hand, if local businesses collapse and jobs disappear, who's gonna have money to buy anything, cheap or not? And let's not forget the environmental cost. Those millions of parcels flying around the world are a carbon footprint nightmare, with e-commerce emissions projected to double by 2030, per a 2024 McKinsey report. So, folks, the next time you click add to cart on Temu, remember, you're not just buying a 25-cent razor blade, you're funding a global trade war, crushing your local economy, and maybe even selling your country's soul to Beijing. But hey, at least you'll look sharp while the world burns. That's all for today, folks. Tune in next time to Boss Economics World, where we'll tackle the next big economic train wreck with all the sarcasm and satire you can handle. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment unless it's from Temu's PR team, in which case, take your knockoff blenders and shove it.